What day is it?
Brew and Beer Day. I challenged him. I said, because, you know, if you saw the kitchen episode, he wants to move that. I said, we're not moving anything until you make the beer. Today we make the beer. I want to open the box. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
Let's open it.
I think it's time to open the box.
For videos and complete instructions. Does this mean it doesn't come with complete instructions?
I think I looked at the instructions whenever I first got it. Like,
I'm impatient when it comes to projects.
I hope I'm not chopping off my head. Who knows? Let's open it up. Some tubes.
Malted barley blend.
We got some more nice chemistry stuff here. Oh, it's a thermometer. In that jug. Alright. Let's make some beer. Go to BrooklynBrewShop.com/instructions for videos and complete instructions. They make it look all easy. These are some very detailed instructions over here.
Based on the instructions, I kind of understand why he put it off. And put it off and put it off. It's a lot. But it's gonna be cool. We weren't prepared. We need lunch first.
We'll explore LA and introduce you to Taco Lita.
And I know there's at least 2 chunks of time where you have to let it simmer for an hour. And that's not counting the first step, which is sanitation and air drying the items. So what we're gonna need to do is a gallon of water. And we need to dissolve half of the sanitizer packet and save the other half for when we bottle it. So we're just gonna do a gallon of water, dissolved sanitizer, and soap, everything that we're gonna use. So that's all these little things, the strainers, the tubes, anything has to get soaked in the sanitizer and then it air dries.
Every day but Brussels.
We're gonna do it. Might as well do it.
Absolutely. Alright, we're sanitizing the pots. We're gonna make a mash. That's what's going on right now in this whole brew process.
We make the mash.
To brew mash. Alright, so we're making the mash. We put in 2.5 quarts of water. A little trick that I learned while bartending. What you want to do is you want to get a stream of air through there so it just all flows straight down. And we already had the pot hot and we're supposed to heat it up to 160 degrees and we put the thermometer in there and it was at like 210. So now we get to wait for water to cool down. I have no idea how long that's going to take. We shall see. So I'm an idiot. It was only at 110, not 210. So we get to heat it back up some more. It's got to get to 160. Sometimes I watch paint dry. Sometimes I watch water boil. It just depends on the day. This is 159, so I'm going to go ahead and start doing this.
Yeah, because it's gonna pick up.
Yep. All right. So this is what they call mashing in, if you want to get into the lingo. So we're pouring in all the barley and everything. Basically what we want is like a nice oatmeal kind of consistency. We can add a little bit of water or take a little bit of liquid out if we need to, but right now it's looking like it's probably going to be okay. And we just need to kind of monitor the temperature and everything and let it just basically simmer for about an hour.
Basically extracting all the flavor and color and good stuff from the grain mix, and then we move on to the next step. So now it's just sort of babysitting and maintaining the temperature 144 to 152. I think we do also stir it occasionally.
right along. Double checking temp here. So the thing is like, once this is done, we're going to need to strain the mash, take that water, combine it with other water that's strained over the mash, and then strain it again. So we're gonna move into this pot, and then some of that water into this pot, and then move that back over to this pot, and then this water over into this pot, and then strain it back over into this pot. So it's gonna be a little bit of a situation. How's the sparge?
You just need a massively big strainer. Oh, that's so gross. Can we not? Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so we made it in that pot. We boiled water in that pot. We strained it all into this pot, and we're taking it out of this pot, straining it back over here through that, and through those, while spilling some here. And we're not bickering at all.
Well, if you weren't such a freaking idiot, we would probably be done with this step by now.
You're probably right. How you feeling?
Reminds me of college when you'd be out partying in like a bar or something and come across a puddle of puke and there's like little bits of ramen noodles in it. Did you ever see that?
Yes, I did. Okay, we have strained and restrained and restrained, and we are no longer showing any restraint. So it's time for the boil. Let it come to a light boil, let it foam up, then we put some stuff in, and then we keep it at a light boil, and about every 10 minutes we add a little bit of something else until it's boiled for about an hour, and then we do something else with it, which I'm not sure what it is yet.
I know what it is because I read the instructions. But you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna make it up and be like, well, why don't we just do this, this, this? No. No.
Apparently she read the ebook.
The instructions are sitting right there on the open iPad for all to enjoy.
Once this starts to boil, we're gonna put some Columbus stuff in there.
We're gonna put, once this starts to boil, we're gonna put.
So once this starts to boil, we are going to put some Columbus spice in it. Is it Columbus spice?
Hops.
Columbus hops. And then we are going to put some Chinook hops every 15 minutes.
So within the hour, and then we have to do the ice bath. What a crock of shit!
It does kind of look like a beer shed.
Oh. How long has it been sitting there in the ice bath?
About 2.5 hours.
Yeah, our ice dipped out pretty quick, but you know, we were busy doing other stuff, so that's fine. So we're gonna check it. We're looking for 70 or below.
Right.
It's still reading like 74.
I think that'll be okay though, because the main thing is that you just don't want the water so hot that it can kill the yeast.
So what we need to do now is filter it. We chose this because we want to get the sediments from the hops. Obviously this is pretty high for pouring. We should do it close to the floor with a towel under it.
I was thinking where we've been doing everything else.
I'm just thinking like that's an awkward height, but you're taller than I am.
Yeah.
So we don't want to overwhelm the funnel
All right.
and waste our hard-earned
Yes.
brew.
We definitely don't want to waste our hard-earned brew. We've been working on this. I mean, given we've been taking our time, but this is not a 2-hour affair. This is a day-long affair. If you know what you're doing, you can probably do what we did in, you know,
It's
4 or 5
like
hours.
7
But
hours.
like, if it's your first time brewing beer, give yourself a day.
Next time, if we do this again, which I think it might be fun to do again and play with flavors,
I agree.
we would need something like a much larger strainer.
The wife was right. It's going to be much easier to do on the ground. We can just pick it straight up out of the bucket. And so here we go. I'd say we're going to be in pretty good shape here because we're the bottom of the gallon line's right there. All right, now we pitch the yeast. We're going to pour the yeast into the bottle and then we're going to shake it vigorously.
No, you shake it before the yeast goes in to create air pocket. Why are you looking at me questioningly when the instructions are right there?
Because I've read the instructions like 3 times and that's not the way that I understood it.
I'm wrong.
What was that? What was that? Oh, look at the camera.
My belief, my interpretation,
Get like a nice good view of me. There you go.
my interpretation of the instructions was not as effective as yours. So we're gonna go ahead and go with yours.
Okay.
Yeah,
Making yeast. Going into the wort.
It is.
This makes it beer. Alright, so now that we've activated our yeast, we get to build this little contraption that goes on top, and then we've got a hose that goes into some sanitizer solution to act as a CO2 funnel, basically. Do you concur?
I concur.
So now we're gonna just screw this onto the top of that and put this into the other end of that, and it's going to offcast some CO2 for a couple of days. That's pretty much the plan. All right, let's put this in a dark hole and call it a day.
That's what she said.
Okay, so Hils is at work, but I'm just gonna put the airlock on top of the beer real quick. It's a process that only takes a couple of minutes. And then we're gonna leave it for a couple of weeks, and then we're gonna have some beer. So the first thing you have to do is you have to mix together a little bit of sanitizer, then sanitize the airlock. Then we're going to fill the airlock with sanitizer up to the line, and then we're gonna pull out the tube and put it in the top that's screwed down on the jug. Okay, so we have that part done. We have it all covered with a towel, and we're gonna leave it for 2 weeks, and then we're gonna have beer. It's time to bottle some beer.
Final phase. It's been 2 weeks,
Yes.
so it's ready.
We've got a 6-pack of 16-ounce bottles.
Do you have your pocket? With a big hair popping off of it.
We've got a bucket of sanitizer solution, just under 1 gallon. got our bottling cane, our bottling tube, our tube clamp, a pot, some honey. So you want to make sure that you're using real honey and not a honey syrup, because that's going to have too much sugar and it's going to create problems for you. Isn't that right, babe?
Definitely. Definitely right.
Definitely right. I've brain one.
We gotta sanitize the bottles because they have to dry.
Yes. Babe, did you tell them?
What?
To like and subscribe. Okay, so one thing that you wanted to do is pull the beer out and try not to agitate it too much while you're pulling it out before bottling. Let it sit there to make sure that all the sediment kind of settles at the bottom. Now we're going to mix 3 tablespoons of honey with half a cup of water.
1,
A 2.
a 40.
Sorry.
That's a 3. You can do it again. Do it again, babe. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a
Honey pot. 3. Because this creates the carbonation within the beer, because the yeast has gone dormant. So the sugar in the honey is going to reactivate the yeast with a sealed bottle, which creates the carbonation. However, you want to make sure that you have your mixture right. If we didn't have quite 1 gallon of beer, then we would use a little bit less than 3 tablespoons of honey. So while we were talking about that, I just put on the little clamp on the end of the siphon hose. Alright, so before we start the siphon, they recommend doing a dry run. So the dry run went well. Tell us what we're going to do.
siphon, honey siphon.
We sanitize the pot. Now we're going to put the honey mixture into it, and then we're going to siphon the beer into the pot. Okay, now this is where I'm going to need your help.
Well, even with all that water in it?
Yes. What you have to do is you have to get all the sanitizer off and start the siphon, and then you stop it. What you want to do is you want to make sure that that stays above here.
Yeah, it's not touching the bottom.
Yeah, another trick is as you're siphoning, kind of move it around in the pot just a little bit. That way you're mixing up your honey solution with your beer. And you also want to make sure that it doesn't drain all the way out. You want to keep the siphon going, and then as we get closer, then we can start tipping it over.
Right. Maybe if we do it that way and it just slides down the side.
Alright, let's seal them up. What do you think we should name it, babe? Think drink. There you go. Good job.
Not for children.
We've got to keep the beer in a dark place for the next 2 weeks. There's a lot of dark places in this household. So, we're going to put it back in the box. Good job.
You good job.
We finally get to pop the top and try a little sip. So this is take 2. The first one was a little flat.
Trial and error.
Yes. But also this popped off, so don't think it probably had a very good seal. So let's try number 2.
Ooh,
That sounded good.
that sounded good.
That looks much better.
Yes.
That looks like a nice beer right there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is an Everday IPA.
It's beautiful.
It is. Cheers. It's a pretty tasty beer.
Yeah. It smells like college for some reason. Do you smell it? That's really good.
I told you.
Definitely mild.
Yes. I don't think I need to brew beer right after finishing one brew every time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely something that I can see, like, I'm in the mood to brew some beer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that.
And then, you know, it's just not instant gratification. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like, you would feel inspired. Now we already have all the loot to make it. That's awesome.
Once you start brewing beer, you're on at least a 1 month time schedule and you have to kind of stay on top of it. So just know that. But anyway, cheers.
Cheers.